the stage Hans Clark, Senior Director of Cost and Capital Management at GCI Corporation. Have a seat. So Hans, tell us a bit about GCI and your role in the company.
Well, GCI is Alaska's only statewide telecommunications company. We offer a variety of services to our customers, including wireless and wireline voice, high-speed data, video, managed services, etc.
Great. So I understand that GCI spends well over $200 million in capital projects each year. And obviously Alaska's enormous size and geography must make it pretty challenging to build a telecommunications network. What can you tell us about that?
Well, you're right about the size. Alaska has the largest land mass of any state in the country and the lowest population density at about 1.26 people per square mile. So there's a lot of ground to cover in between the villages and towns and cities that we're connecting. We have to spend an extra amount of time figuring out the logistics, what kind of technologies to use, and be very careful before we go and spend money.
So how do you use IBM TM1 to manage your capital expenditure budgets?
Well, prior to TM1, we had something called the Capital Project Approval Request, or CPAR. And this was a standalone Excel workbook that captured things like scope statements, value statements, itemized lists of all the different hardware and software that would need to be purchased, as well as modeling our expectations for EBITDA impact. It checked the SOX compliance box in terms of budget approvals, but it was then just a workbook that was stranded on a shared drive with no realistic way to get at the data and analyze it.
Wow. So in addition to obviously being in Alaska, there's a lot of motivation and a lot of entrepreneurial spirit at GCI. How has Team One supported this culture?
Well, GCI, of all the companies I've worked for, I've never seen department heads so empowered to make their own decisions, run it as their own business. So having TM1 and taking that CPAR and rebuilding it into an environment where it's the same look and feel, but we had all the data, it's easily accessible, it basically allows me to herd cats. The department heads are still going off, still doing their own projects, making their own decisions, but those decisions that they're making, we're gathering into TM1, and we can keep an eye on it and make sure that everything's going as expected, and that if a project's running into trouble, maybe behind schedule or over budget, we see it quicker and we can jump on it and do what we need to do.
Right. So tell us a bit about how the information you're now getting with TM1 helped improve your business.
Well, one thing I didn't mention earlier, in addition to geography, we have a very harsh climate and we have a very short build season. The ground's frozen for most of the year. So when it thaws up, it is this mad rush to get stuff done. So it is helping us drill in and earlier, look at, what is the individual projects, where they're going, and what we need to do to make sure we stay on track.
Wow. So it's pretty complex in of itself. I mean, many companies that don't have to deal with the weather and the climate and all the other characteristics that last of things really struggle day to day. Tell us a bit more about your organizational and the cultural challenges that you faced with adoption of TM1.
Well, the first challenge is when I saw TM1, I was at the Vision Conference a few years ago, and I fell in love with it. I was, I grew up through my career as a data nerd, an Excel nerd, and I really wanted to dive right into it. But the reality is my job is going to meetings, doing managerial stuff. So I assumed I would be able to do more on this tool than I've been able to. So we had to go out and we had to find a rock star staff to utilize all the great functionality that's there. Once we did that, things started moving along. I would say the cultural challenge is we're kind of stubborn and independent in Alaska and suspicious of anything that looks like bureaucracy. So it took a little bit of convincing to get my fellow employees to see this. The TM1 is not more red tape, but it's something that would enhance our decision making and help us move the business forward.
Well, I had a story about Sarah Palin there for a second. I'll just
yeah, best leave that alone.
It's the political season anyway. So I understand now that you're also taking on the endeavor of moving to the cloud, and obviously a lot of companies are in the same situation. What were some of the factors that influenced your decision to move to the cloud?
Well, in a nutshell, we just wanted to simplify things, and I want my group, my capital management group, to spend more time focusing on managing the business as opposed to an application. We have a great IT department at GCI, but I'm in finance. If I have a server performance issue related to the tool, I don't necessarily understand their processes to get that fixed and resolved. I think moving to the cloud just simplifies that. I think it allows IT to focus on what they already have on their plate, and allows my group to just get in there and do the analysis we need to do.
Great. So what's next on your cognitive journey?
Well, besides the capital aspect of my team, we have a lot of really complex spreadsheet-based forecast models when it comes to interconnecting with other telcos and the costs that come from that. So I'm going to be here this week looking at the tools that are available and looking for a way to automate that.
Great. So I want to thank you again for joining us today, and we look forward to hearing more about your success with Penny Analytics and all the technology that you're using today in your company.
Thanks, Bill. Great to be here.
Thanks.